Alright, I'm bound and determined to make this thing run. In this episode, we're going to put the tanks back in. And I want it to move. Wish me luck. I bet we can do it. Alright, it's Sunday. Let's see if we can get these fuel tanks put back in. One goes under there. I got one in there last night. Now I need to take the filler necks up out of here. I cut my hole wrong. I'll weld the piece back in. But that doesn't really work. So I need to cut these like here, here, make them straight. Because if they're straight, you can get them come right out the side. So I'll cut them and weld them back together. And it should work for both of them. The one up there and this one here. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I come up with a plan. Straighten that out, kinda. I know it's ugly, but it's just a vent. It doesn't matter. Then I cut this. So if I spin it back around to there and weld it back together, that will be the perfect angle to do what I want it to do. So let's do that. Okay, put a couple tacks on there. We stick that in there, through there. That is totally gonna work. Awesome. I'll weld up a couple. Okay, as you probably noticed, anybody was looking, I made my hole in the wrong place, so because that brace is in the way. So I gotta bring over the old stick welder and put that back in, grind it all down. When I paint the bed, nobody will know. Well, I just told you, I guess. So here we go. Put a glove over the hoses so I don't catch everything on fire, and weld it back in, grind her up, and we'll be ready to go. The old Hobart stick welder and a little 6013 and a grinder and some primer, and it'll be fine. Let's poke another hole over there. Start putting this stuff together. Okay, one of these, the vent has to be on the other side. Otherwise this swoop goes up instead of down. So I'm gonna weld that washer in there. I cut this hose off. Weld that little washer in there and fill up the hole, and I'll drill a hole on the other side and weld it back on, and we'll try again. Alright, holes filled up. You can weld stainless with just regular MIG, but it doesn't really like it. Pretty sure I'm watertight though. I'll be okay. Okay, we got the tanks in. Got about 6 gallons of fuel in there. There's a little clicky clacky pump underneath. This thing hasn't ran in, oh shit, almost 10 years. So I've got a little hot wire action going on over here. Turn on the fuel pump, and got a little seepage coming out of the side of the carburetor. So let's see what happens. Nothing. Okay. Twist these wires together and let that pump run a little longer. And it's leaking some more. Smells like gas. Leaking out of a few places. Oh, it's leaking like hell out the front. Shut it off. Oh, that was leaking a lot. So, a carb rebuild is probably in order. We'll beat on the needle and seat. I'm kind of excited, can you tell? The way I'm flinging the camera all over the place. Like I said, it hasn't ran in like 10 years. Maybe I should take one of these with me. Yeah. Doing crazy stuff. Alright, I'm probably going to have to rebuild that carburetor, but... but that's pretty cool. You can't hear that. The front quit leaking, but the back's still leaking. Yeah, I either got to rebuild that carburetor or have an Edelbrock I might put on there, because that's why I hate Holly. But it runs again. I hate vans. I got it out of there. Nothing is easy with a van. So, here's the carb. Here's a kit. If that don't work, it gets an Edelbrock. Okay, I'm not a carburetor rebuild guru or nothing. I mean, I know what some of these parts are. You know, your float and your bowl and your accelerator pump and power valve. But I do know that it's not supposed to look that nasty. Random yard sale tools. Who'd have thunk I would have ever needed one of those? But I have one, so that's cool. I'll, I don't know, clean it and put everything back where I found it with new parts. I hope it works. Oh, here's a pile of spare parts. Oh, it's the old junk I ripped out of there, but got it back together. But there's a filter that's supposed to be right here, and I don't have that. So tomorrow we put it back on and pray. Well, new problems. I had me a little fuel bottle and a hose, because these float levels you got to set wet, adjust it, and it was weeping fuel out of right here, which is similar to this side over here. So we put some cleaned it all up real good, brake clean, wire brush, emery cloth, bare metal, and I used JB Weld tank fix, 1 hour cure. So let's put some gas in it and see if we can set the float levels. Hope that fixed it. Okay, here's our little screw that we take out and adjust the float until it just barely weeps. So if I tip this a little, gas comes out. That is right at what I think is the perfect level. And I'm not leaking no more. Booyah! I fired her back up. It's running a little rough, but it also hasn't ran in years. choke's starting to open up. Get the idle to come down. By golly, I'd say we did it. Awesome. Transmission works. Brakes work. It's alive.